Thank you, everyone, for attending today. I'm Brian Radovich, and we're going to talk about what's new in security. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, great. I'm going to start off with a little bit with our release notes. I could have built a nice PowerPoint, but I decided that I just wanted to kind of make sure you guys were aware of that this resource exists whenever a release comes out. If you're a current customer, you can see this at the beginning of RC. And then, of course, they're published with GA. And I've got all of the release notes for the different products that I'm going to cover today, but I'm going to start here. So I'm going to cover 3 products today, Security and Event Manager, which we're looking at right now. We'll also do ARM and SCM, and we'll get to those in just a minute. And we'll do some quick demos and have a little bit of time for questions at the end. All right, so SIM, Security and Event Manager. So if you've been a customer along the way, we've been updating SIM away from Flash to HTML5, and we're sort of completing that transition. So you'll see a lot of features here that we've taken from the Flash interface and put into HTML5, and but we've made them better along the way. We are using the same technology that's in Orion. So if you're an Orion customer and not a SIM customer, when I show you SIM, it's going to look a lot like Orion because we're using the same underlying technology. But the big things that we moved over in this release, this is the 2020.2, and then we have a 2020.4, and I'll jump over to that one in just a second. Analyze historical data. So we had the live events view, that's all the events coming in live, and you can do filters and see the details and build rules on those and all of that. We can also do that with historical data, which goes back much further now. So sort of the same features, but on historical data as well. We also added connector profiles. This allows you to group connectors and then apply them to the devices that are sending syslogs or the data we're getting from agents all at once. Rather than having to assign these connectors one by one, you can now do that in groups. We also started moving over the account management. So now you can build SIM local accounts. We can also build LDAP accounts. That's in 2020.4. I'll show that to you. It'll be in the next document. And you can also view the oldest stored events. So just like in Orion, you can go and pull KPIs and put them right on your dashboards. This is one of the new things that we added, was being able to see, like, how old is my data? What's my oldest data inside, my oldest event inside of my repository? So let me go on to the next one. And there we go. Okay, so here's 2020.4. We made some navigation changes to streamline how you get to things. We also added saved and scheduled searches. This was a really big feature, that when you're searching for historical events, you want to be able to save those searches and schedule them and output that data and send it out into your environment. So all of that capabilities are now there. We've got the LDAP settings. So again, now you can connect to your LDAP. You can actually assign user roles. So when you connect to LDAP, you can map the groups that are in LDAP settings to roles that are inside of SIM. So it makes it really easy to map, who has access to what with the groups that are already there in your LDAP or Active Directory. We can use both the users you create within SIM and all the users we can see in Active Directory throughout the product, especially when you're building alerts. Not only can they log in, but we can also go pull any user to send alerts to. We can also pull directory service groups and leverage those in our rules as well. So that's pretty much everything that's new in SIM. Let me go and switch over. Oh, one new thing that we've started to do is we have a PDF now that has a detailed view of all of the features. So screenshots, how to use it, all that kind of stuff, just for the set of features in this release. This is something new we've done for 2020.4. Other products may start to do that as well, but it's really handy if you want to see, hey, exactly what can I do now? Okay, Access Rights Manager. So 2020.2. That came out in June. The big news here is Microsoft Teams integration. So we can now see all the things that we do with ARM with users is now available with Microsoft Teams. So we can scan configurations, we can change configurations. Really big feature. Teams usage has gone through the roof with COVID. This is very timely. Again, released in June, so it's been very timely for our end users to manage their cloud Active Directories. We've got we can analyze the rights on Teams resources, who has access to what, and doing user provisioning there as well. And then we can recertification of Active Directory group memberships. So we used to be able to do file server permissions, but now with 2020.2, we can also do manage the group memberships and make changes to those as well. And then really cool, we have a graphical timeline of the events that we've been seeing. So now you can visualize events as they occur and not just see a long list. Users love that. And then we've added Logga monitoring in Azure Active Directory. I think we could do that on premises before, but now we can also do that in the Azure AD. And then we've got enhanced support for forwarding events to syslog servers. This includes SIM, so the product I just talked about, Security Event Manager, can pull in events and act on those from ARM as well. And let me keep going here because we got a lot to show. And then server configuration Monitor has had two releases. They had a 2020.2 and then followed it up with a 2020.2.1. The big features here is one, we've added monitoring databases for changes. So this is SQL, MySQL, and Postgres. We can basically query the data. We have some out-of-the-box templates. You can build your own, but anything that you can write a SQL query on, we can monitor. And we've got the three out-of-the-box that do a pretty extensive job of monitoring things like configurations, the structure of your tables and your indexes, changes to those types of things. You can monitor that as well. The other big thing we did in this release, the 2020.2 release, we added credentials to elements. So before, all the elements that we can monitor, we can run command lines, we can monitor files, we can get the registry, all of those things you can now put credentials on. We had to build that for databases, so we just extended it to all the element types. And then as a quick update to that, we came out with 2020.2.1 and we added compliance policies. So these are things, the out-of-the-box ones we have are DISA STIG, but it also might be CIS or HIPAA or PCI. But what this does is this extends SCM's ability. The profiles that we were providing in SCM before could go and collect the data and watch for drift and alert you when there are changes, baseline, that kind of stuff, very similar to what we do at NCM. But we couldn't really evaluate a value and say, is this a good value or a bad value? And that's what we've added here with this version, is a compliance policy where you can do those things. Now, right now, there are just 3 out-of-the-box policies, and they are focused on STIG, so Windows Server 2016, SQL Server 2016, IIS 8.5. But the general idea is that you could go and build your own rules and actually pull data from any source that SCM can pull from. So again, that list that I had earlier, and then actually evaluate the data that it's returning and decide whether that's good or bad. Again, we'll be enhancing this feature as we move along and producing more policies as well. And then, so let's go ahead and jump to, I don't know why that's there. Yeah, so let's jump to the SIM demo. So this is Security and Event Manager. This is 2020.4. The big things that I wanted to show here, one is the navigation up here. If you're used to this, we've now separated out live and historical events, so they're a little bit easier to get to and find. We can drill down on here, and these are our historical events. So this is pretty much the functionality that you had in our in-depth before. So we've got all the filters that we can build over here. We've got different things that we can filter on. Again, my machine's running just a little bit slow, so it's falling behind here. And then we also, the new feature in 2020.4 is the save searches. And I can come in here and browse the saved searches. I can also create new ones and save them. And yeah, my machine is running super slow. And there we go. The events are here, like all events in the last 10 minutes, the last week, those types of things. I can quickly load these. And something should have appeared there, but it did not. But I can quickly load those events. I can also go and schedule those events as well. So this is the other big feature that In-Depth had that we've now ported over. I can actually schedule this search and say how often I want it to happen, what's the execution time. I can do multiple times a day if I want to. Do I want it to end at some point, and then who I want to email. And again, we can pick the users inside of SIM, or we can also add LDAP users. So that's that's basically historical events, save searches, and schedules. We also did connector profiles. I'll skip that because I want to jump over to users and LDAP users. So if I come here and go to users, this allows me to manage my users. This particular instance only has local users, but you can see I have add a user now. This is all functionality that was still on the Flash side, now available here. And if I real quickly switch over to my other machine, I can also do LDAP configuration. So this is huge to get over on this side. As you know, LDAP can be pretty tricky at times, but we can go in here and edit this. And I just wanted to show you the roles. We'll step through the wizard. So this is the first step, connect to the LDAP server. But what's really cool is I can put in the roles. So I can actually map roles to at the groups within Active Directory, right? So my admin group is going to admin AK-admins inside of Active Directory. So super cool that I can do that now. Now sort of my permissions just kind of flow through, and based on the roles inside of SIM, will tell them what they get access to. And the last thing I wanted to show you was, let me go back to this server. We're going to go to dashboard. And just really similar to what you see in Orion now, I have this edit dashboard. And now I can move these dashboards around. Of course, I'm on a demo server, so I can't actually save anything. But I can also add new widgets. And I can do a new KPI widget. And you can see this works very, very similar to Orion, right? So I can click continue, and I can come in here and add my first value and go to my data source. And so here are all and really this is focused on the health and status of SIM. But this was one of the things that lots of users ask about is like, hey, how old are, what's the oldest event inside of my environment? In this case, it's 17 days, not very old, but this tells users basically how far back their data goes. And so it's been something they've been really interested in. All right, so I am going to move on. So that was Security and Event Manager. Let me go ahead and switch over to Orion. There we go. So this is Server Configuration Manager. So there were a couple of things that I wanted to show you. One is the databases, and I opened some tabs earlier since my machine was running kind of slow. And I'm just going to show you kind of what this is. This is one of the nodes that we're monitoring. So this SCM is actually monitoring the node. You could also be monitoring with SAM and other things. We're looking at the MS SQL Server Essentials, right? So this is the basic out of the box template for SQL Server, and we're looking at database options. So what's happening here, and we can see a little bit about the information here. What's happening is that basically we have a collection of SQL queries. We have assigned that to a node that has a SQL Server on it, and periodically, on a schedule that you can determine, we're actually reaching out and pulling this data and then monitoring it for drift or for baselines. And you can see here, this is a really simple one. We've got a temp DB, and the create date has changed. So someone's gone in there and maybe deleted it and restarted it, or recreated it, or they may have just updated this field. But again, I sort of shortcut a bunch of steps there because, again, my machine was running slow right before the demo. But that's sort of the idea with SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres. We have those out-of-the-box ones, but you can actually, anything that you can connect ODBC to, you could connect and run whatever query you wanted. So if you've got, custom apps where you need to keep track of, configurations about them, you can build your own. The other big news with Server and Configuration Monitor is the compliance policy engine. So what this does is, again, it goes and gathers data just like I was showing you with the database, but it actually evaluates the output against a benchmark. And in this case, we're using DISA STIG. You can see we've got the 3 out-of-the-box policies. And we can see the number of rules that were evaluated, the compliance, the number of unknown rules and failed rules, and then we get a summary of the entire environment. So what this really does is if you've got these types of compliance requirements, this helps you operationalize those, right? It's not a once a quarter fire drill. You can turn on these policies, point them at your servers, apply these the box policies or build your own, and then basically watch these. And when they go out of compliance, you could be alerted. So you can keep track of this and fix the problems as they come up rather than leaving a giant pile of stuff to do before your security guys are very unhappy with you. We can see that 59% of the rules have passed, so that's pretty good. And we can see counts here of the pass, failed, and the ones that we couldn't evaluate. If we drill down on a individual policy, we get to see the summary, basically the same summary. This is Windows 2016. We're 65% compliant. We can see all the passed and failed rules. What you can see here are all the failed rules, and I can drill down and get a lot more information on these, right? So I can drill down here, and we'll get to the rule details. This is going to give me a description of the rule and what I need to do to fix it, right? So as an admin, I want to know not only that it's broken, but I need to know how it's fixed. And that's all contained with this information on this rule. And we can see a little bit more information that this data was pulled, and we did evaluate the data, but it failed the rule criteria. So you can read about the rule criteria over here and how to fix it. So that's the big news in SCM. Policy compliance engine, with the DISA STIG policies out of the box, compliance reports, monitoring database for changes. Those were all the big features in the release. I think we've got a couple of minutes left here, so I'll look and see if there are some questions. Go ahead and ask them. The other thing I wanted to remind you guys, not only are the, oops, not what I wanted to do. Not only are the, all the release notes here covering all the features, but there's also this great what we're working on post. If you didn't like any of the things you see here and you want something different, you can come and check and see what we're building next, right? And if we drill down on Security and Event Manager, we can see that, hey, we were working on scheduled search, directory service groups, all this stuff that you just saw that we've delivered in the Q4 release. Office 365 events. We're working on that right now. It's not in a release yet, so we'll continue to do that. And notice that you can vote on these features as well. These are in our feature request area of THWAC. So if you don't see what you like, go and look. We'll go over here to this one right now. Go to the, so here's the request, the feature request on THWAC, and then you can vote on this, I think down at the bottom. Or you just like it. That's right. This is the new platform. But you can like this one, and that'll count as a vote. You can put in new feature requests, so this is totally up to you. And I guarantee you our PMs watch this thing and see what people are voting on. and we might reach out to you and talk to you. But this is a great way to give feedback into the product. You can also, do feature requests through support, but this sort of gets it in front of, all the people like you and get them voting as well. So highly encourage you guys to use Slack to put your feature requests in. All right, great. Let's see if there are any questions. Looks like the guys online have been answering the questions pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't see anything here. Yeah, not seeing anything on the chat. Anybody have questions on any of the products or features that you've seen here or anything like that? Okay, well, great. Well, maybe I'll end a couple of minutes early. And thank you, everyone. And until next Slack Camp, we'll see you again.